I'm going to do a quick run out for you. This is going to be a second gear pull, and then we'll probably hit fourth, and then we'll bat off. But this car, again, we're at 4,000 RPM, so I hope you enjoy it. Like I said, it's got it where it counts, right? When you want to have fun, when you want to really push this car, it absolutely will bring an SHIT grin onto your face, okay? But it is such tall geared that in order to really enjoy the experience of the vehicle, you do have to just rev it out. And so where some cars you're going first, second, third, fourth, fifth, this car, you're really only doing first, maybe half a second, into third, back to second, if you really want to keep it in the power band, right? So that's just something to keep in mind. I still think it's world class on the street, but the one thing that PDK will give you that this car just doesn't have is the gear ratio. You know, yeah, they'll both do 190 miles an hour. I think it's 189 for the PDK, but that extra second and third and fourth gear shift is a lot of fun. The only thing, I want you to listen for a minute how loud this car is inside. Now, these are Cup 2 tires, and this is a pretty bad road. So I'm going to shut up, and you can just kind of listen to how loud it is in here, because it's something to be mindful of. You can hear the road, you feel the road. It's definitely a sports car, and it's something to be said. Now, if you were to get this car and you were to put some Michelin PS4s or something with a slightly softer compound, I think it would absolutely decrease the road noise. But with Cup 2s, as it comes from the factory, you definitely know you're in a sports car. Now, having said that, it is such a comfortable car to baby. You really can, like right now, that's fifth gear. I'm revving 2,000 RPMs, and the engine is absolutely fine. So while there's nobody home, like that's full throttle, there's nobody home. Like there's no torque hardly at all. I mean, you have like 300 foot-pounds, but you don't, or 310 as I told you earlier, but you don't get that until you hit mid-force to really 5,000. The torque band is 5 to 1,600, that's your max torque. So if you do full throttle in fifth gear, you're roll racing somebody and you're not in the right gear, they're gonna just walk you. It's not that type of car. It is all about lap times. If you want a drag car, just stay away from a GT4. But having said that, if you're just daily driving it on a back road like we are right now, we got a truck in front of us, it's comfortable, you know, and you don't feel like you have to be going 9, 10, 10, 10 to enjoy just the cruising capabilities of this transmission and this engine. And I really like the dual personality nature of the car. Now when you do finally go, you know, third, second, it just transforms the driving experience, right? The sound of the engine, it's chaotic, you know, and you know you're driving something special. But I just love at the same time, you can just upshift and take your wife out for dinner and relax. So this has the gas particulate filter. So I reviewed the 981. I'll go ahead and put a link to that right now. That was a really great car. I think it was gentian blue or a different shade of blue, but it was fantastic. So the 981 does not feature gas particulate filters. It has a completely different engine, and it revs a little bit freer. It has a 3.8 liter flat six versus the 4 liter. It's a little down in horsepower, but I will tell you in a lot of ways the 981 as a stock configuration car is a better car. It just revs faster and sounds more visceral, and it's in a lot of ways more fun. This car really could benefit from an aftermarket exhaust, and the main reason is very simple. You have gas particulate filters, really heavy extra components in the exhaust that are trying to capture unburned fuel, and that just really dampens down the acoustics of that flat six. So Jake, in fact, was just telling me he's going to be putting a JCR exhaust in this thing soon, and I really think it will transform the entire experience of the car. Because with those Cup 2s, this car is never quiet. The reality is you might as well just go crazy and put in a really awesome sounding exhaust, and that way it kind of overcomes the audible of those tires. And now that we're on my favorite back road here, which mind you guys, this is really far into the country, The car is just such a fun, flickable experience. You know, the steering is world class, the gear engagement's world class, the clutch, it literally is one of the best manual driving experiences you are going to get in the game, period. I'm telling you. The only thing that rivals it, and Jake and I were just talking about this, is the S2000 and the Mazda Speed MX-5. Those are the only two vehicles that I've driven and reviewed recently that I'm like, oh, that transmission is as good as this. But in so many ways, guys, it's an easy to shift, easy clutch, very forgiving, easy to slot. The rev match on this car makes it absolutely idiot-proof. If you can't drive this car smooth, then you have no clue how to drive a manual. In which case, you do not start with a car this expensive. You know, go and learn on some beater that you can destroy the clutch on, and then move your way up to this, okay? Because you can't be smooth in this car, you just don't know what you're doing. And that's fair, you know, we all start somewhere. But I will tell you, if you know how to drive a manual, you're gonna have a great time in this car because it's just such an easy transmission to enjoy. It really is. I want to make one more note on camera. The build quality of Porsches, guys, and I'm sure you've heard of this a little bit. You have to, but they're so good. There is literally zero rattling going on in here. You don't hear any rattling on the exhaust, the seats, the headliner, nothing. It's just perfect. And this car has 1,600 miles now, and you know, this is usually where you start to hear maybe something rattling loose. I can tell you every Cayman I've reviewed has been flawless on the interior quality. I can tell you every McLaren I've reviewed has been a complete rattling shitbox. So it's just something to be mindful of when you get into these vehicles. You know, they're expensive, yeah, no doubt about it, but they just have a way of building engines and building the interiors. I don't understand how nobody else can figure it out, seemingly. I mean, very rarely do I get in a car, whether it's a Ferrari, a Tesla, or any other manufacturers. I mean, Audi is owned in the same family, Lamborghini's owned in the same family. They really do have something different in the way they engineer their cars and build their cars, because the interior quality is just better from an audible point of view. You know, it's nothing worse. Like, I'll give you an example. I was test driving the Lotus Emira, and I had a reservation. I was going to be one of the first guys in Tennessee to get one. I love the car, right? I'm a huge Lotus fanboy. I did a demo drive. That car had 4,000 miles, and it had multiple spots inside the vehicle where it was rattling. Multiple spots. This is just, it's just ridiculous. You know, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, listen to that. You know, we're beating on the car. We're having fun. Dead quiet in here. And that alone should put this in its own class, in my opinion. Because if you get in a 570 or get in a 765 LT, even if it's $500,000, I'm telling you, you're gonna be like, man, what is that sound coming from the back? The heat shielding, what is that? It just takes away from the experience, you know? Whereas this car, you just don't get that. And it just feels quality in every single sense of the word. Jake, that man. Thanks for coming.
Hey, thanks for having me out.
First review here at the HQ. So that is your honor, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
So for some of you all watching, this is a pink car. It's kind of the elephant in the room. So Jake, you know, what's it been like in the real world when you're not sitting with an enthusiast, right? What has it been like owning this car?
You know, honestly, it's been way more positive than what I expected. Honestly, when I chose Ruby Star, I was ready for all the hate. I knew it was going to come. I just, you know, so I kind of prepped myself for it. But, I mean, the first event I took the car to, I kind of stood off to the side, and I didn't really hear a whole lot of, you know, people either making fun of it or just, you know, whatever they would want to say, kind of just hate on it or. So it's actually been a very positive experience, way more than I anticipated. So far, it's, you know, people might say stuff behind your back. And in passing, I've had, you know, some people say, "Oh, that's a bold option that you chose." So
it is a bold option.
So yeah, I mean, we got to be ready to take the good with the bad, though, with stuff like this. And the people that know the historical reference to the car and really appreciate it, you know, it's great to get positive comments from them, but in the end, you have to do what makes you happy and not worry about what people think.
So you took the European delivery.
Tell me a little bit about that process, and you had mentioned earlier that it helped you kind of get an application. I didn't know that, and you just told me something I didn't know, that there was an additional fee for European delivery, is that right?
That's right. There's no cost per se. You know, it's not like a line item on the bill sheet. But I mean, you have to basically promise them, yes, I'm going to take delivery of this car. And that's actually what kind of helped me get this car without having an ADM attached to it. Because at that time, I mean, everything was ADM. And if I had changed my mind and said, I don't want to do European delivery, can we get the car delivered here? There would have been an ADM attached to it. So that's kind of part of that process.
Interesting, because in Europe, there isn't allowed to be an SRP sale.
Exactly. Yep. In Europe, it's more, even though here, yes, you have that dealership relationship, but it's even more so in Europe because you're not able to, you know, they can't make more money on ADM. It's like you said, it's illegal. So that's kind of how they try to, you know, control their buyers.
And I really wish, I'm going to say this on camera publicly, I really wish that car buyers here in the United States, just like they lobbied to have the manual brought back, would lobby to have the same rules as European delivery and European customers. Is it asking that much? Because it's crazy, and it really, I'll be honest with you, I think it really tarnishes the reputation of Porsche. Because it becomes a who's who game, it becomes a game of money, and I'm a huge Porsche fan. I wanted this car for myself. It was the car I decided to own, and yet somebody else could just sign me right? That I could afford. And I know there's a lot of people that are probably turning off from the brand because of situations like that. I can only imagine it happened to me, and I'm sure I'm not alone. And it's really great that you were able to play it. Now, I do call it the game because a lot of it is a game.
Yes.
You know, I mean, if you have a new Dodge Demon or you have a new Z06 Corvette or any of these high-end, high production or low production, high demand cars, that's the name of the game. But I really wish they would log in and just have the same rules.
Yeah, and even another great thing, just speaking of European, stuff, is you don't pay taxes on pre-owned cars. They have an initial VAT tax on new car purchases, but once that car exchanges hands on the secondary market,
I had no idea.
Yeah, you don't have that VAT tax, and that VAT tax is high.
So is the initial tax higher than here?
Yes, it's a 19%.
Get out of here.
That's the
19%.
19%. Yep.
Is that across every country or just Germany?
No, it's just well, I think it's Europe in general, but Germany is definitely, there's a VAT tax in Germany that's 19%.
One last follow-up on the car. Okay. So this is actually considered Paint-to-Sample, correct?
Correct.
Were there other colors that you were looking at? First question. And the second part of that question is, how did you get a PTS application?
So, yeah, the color choosing option was just a painstaking process because you can look all you want on the internet. Right. You can go to the dealership, they've got samples of a bunch of different colors. I knew I wanted something really vibrant. So stuff like acid, that was kind of on the short list. Some of the blues, maybe something like ultraviolet. And, really in the end, I just decided, it's like, this might be my only chance to order, a brand new Porsche, get an application. So kind of go big or go home, go with something that has a historical reference to it and really means something to the brand more so than just, a color of a catalog.
Like you said, it's a historical color. I mean, you're not going to see one of these out in the street.
There's not many. I mean, the only other car, I think locally, at least here, there's a 4RS in the Neo, not PTS. There's a little bit of difference. Some people don't quite understand that, but there is actually a difference between a PTS Rubystone car and then what's in the configurator currently that's called Rubystone Neo. Different paint codes. Neo's a little bit more muted, not quite as punchy. Probably won't be able to tell the difference in them from photos or apart from one another. But yeah, if you set them next to one another, you can tell.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because when you initially saw this car, I didn't think it was a PTS car.
Yeah.
PTS was $12,000.
I think it's around $12,000. I think it might have went up, and it also I think varies depending on model. I think at some point I've seen recently it was maybe up to like $15,000 now. Some of the 911s.
The last thing I was going to say, when it came to the CXX options, you said you had to pretty much get to $10,000 in special edition options to qualify for that.
Exactly. You have to agree from the start to do, if you want to do special wishes, that's your minimum amount you want to spend. And it doesn't take much to get there, but you have to be willing to do that.
And then, how did you know chalk? Is that another booklet they give you? Was that done in Atlanta when you went to the center? And how did you get to some of these upgrades?
So as far as the interior goes, really it started out with the plat inserts. So I basically asked Pierre at the dealer, I was like, hey, I know we've got insert options that are from factory spec from Porsche. That's how this whole thing, this rabbit hole got started. And it goes quick. So he basically got samples for me. I knew with this color, I didn't want to use another color in the inside. But they had this black and white plat, this gray, that really just, I was like, that's the insert I want. So Porsche actually has like a design person that they communicate with internally. So from that point, basically you kind of say, these are some things I would like to do. They say we can do this, we can't do that. And then they also offer some suggestions, basically. So I gave them sort of an initial wish list, and they came back and said, okay, what about doing this? And the guy actually sent a picture of a GT3 that had done a very similar interior with chalk. From images, it looked very much like white leather.
It does look like white compared to this behavior, but
yeah.
I can see it's more gray in person.
Yeah, so when they said chalk, I was like, that looks really white. I don't know, I had not seen like the chalk leather in person myself. And so they basically came back and said, okay, how about doing chalk seats with that leather and that insert? And I was like, that's a great idea.
What's awesome is its own unique.
Yeah.
I think it is a one-to-one. Wrong?
I mean, I know people joke about that, especially in the Corvette world, but this is a one of whatever build.
I mean, it can't be more than 1 of 5.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine you would find the car spec exactly like this.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the wheel color is different, or it's yellow gray, or something.
Yeah.
Exactly like this. It very well could be.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
I like it.
Okay. Well guys, if you made it this far into the video, sincerely thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed a little POV drive on a beautiful summer, beautiful winter day. It is December, it's almost Christmas time, and I wanted to wish you a happy Christmas coming up. Don't shoot another any content before then. This right here, guys, is one of the last ever to be built GT4s in the world. And it's an incredibly cool historical color. I really hope you enjoyed hearing from Jake. I can't thank him enough for bringing the car out. This is the stuff that I live for. Hopefully, if you enjoyed this content, you enjoyed the little podcast format, go into the comments, let us know. As you guys know, that algo is all about engagement. So if you're liking, you're commenting, you're sharing, it will serve to more people. Remember, everything that I do with this channel is 100% about growing it. Every dollar I make from any views back into it, and trust me, it's a big loss leader for me. All the shows, all the travel, all the track time, it's just a massive amount of money. But we don't ever recoup, guys, but it's my absolute passion. I love bringing this content, and I can't thank you enough for checking us out. This is it. We'll catch you on the next one. We really appreciate it. If you guys enjoy the new digs, we're going to be working on parts soon. I got a litany of things in my head here that we're personalizing the garage, making it better and better and better with every iteration of the Rubies. So that's it for us, guys. See you on the next one.